Why is this god-tier work with over 10 billion views so damn good? A god-tier work of Eastern fiction. Known by all, absolutely no Easterner hasn't read it. Furthermore, it's been adapted into TV shows, anime, manga with billions of views, popularity lasting over 10 years. Single YouTube videos breaking millions of views. On WebNovel, it's also received 36.1 million views. Just what kind of god-tier work drove people so crazy? Hi babies, this is W. Welcome back to the WebNovel channel. Today, I'm introducing the Eastern novel Battle Through the Heavens, an absolutely unmissable legendary work. The story's backdrop is a fantasy world where people use Duzi Li as a standard to judge martial prowess. MC Xiao Yan was formerly a genius in his clan. He cultivated Duzi Li at 4 years old, becoming the youngest fighter in his clan's past 100 years at 11. But when he grew up, he lost all Duzi Li. The clan head mocked him. His peers looked down on him. Even his fiancee broke off their engagement. But he's not the type to suffer insults silently. Xiao Yan swore in his heart to make these people pay. Today was the day for Duzi Li assessments. Peers his age could reach the 6th level of fighting force. But the measuring stone only displayed his fighting force as a 3rd level, equivalent to a beginner. The teacher announced his score, naturally drawing jeers. They disdainfully mocked Xiao Yan, some even sighing in pity. Lifting his head, Xiao Yan saw those faces that used to smile at him humbly, now twisted with disdain and superiority. Bitterly smiling within, Xiao Yan returned to the back of the lines, a lonely figure standing out. Next was Zhao Mei's assessment. Her Duzi Li reached an incredible 7th level, drawing envious murmurs in the crowd. She successfully became the focus of attention on the field. She was once attracted to Xiao Yan before he lost his Duzi Li and abandoned him. Then began the assessment of the purple-robed Miss Zhao Juner. Her Duzi Li reached the astounding 9th level, high level. The crowd sank into silence, all astonished by her terrifying prowess, gazing at her in awe and reverence. Faced with her outstanding performance and graceful bearing, many showed jealous gazes toward her, even the assessor seeming to admire her. An assessor exclaimed,
"Miss Junior, in half a year's time, you should be able to spiral your fighting force, becoming the 2nd person in the Zhao clan in the past century."
That 2nd person was originally meant for Xiao Yan, the former genius. Thank you. Upon hearing these words, Juner's face did not show affirmative joy. After finishing the assessment, she turned and walked back into the crowd, coming before Xiao Yan. With a smile, she said, "Brother Xiao Yan, you once told Juner that one must let go before taking hold, be free and easy in grasping and releasing, to be an unrestrained person." Facing these comforting words and Juner's sincere gaze, Xiao Yan felt a warmth within. Perhaps now only Juner would consider his feelings. On the mountain cliff, Xiao Yan reclined diagonally on the grassland, chewing on grass while gazing through his fingers at the countless stars and gigantic silver moon in the sky, sighing at the passage of time. It had already been 15 years. The former child prodigy had now become a foreign traveler in this world. In fact, Xiao Yan was not from this world, but rather from a planet called Earth. In this land known as the Duzi Li continent, cultivating Duzi Li had become an important foundation of strength for people. Through countless generations of effort, Duzi Li cultivation had been developed to its pinnacle, even intricately related to people's daily lives. In his past life, Xiao Yan was but an extremely ordinary being among the vulgar masses. But after arriving in this Duzi Li continent, with the experience of 2 lifetimes, his soul became powerfully beyond expectations. Yet, overnight, Xiao Yan suddenly lost his Duzi Li, declining from a genius to a waste, in a turn too abrupt. Gazing now at the ring left behind by his mother, he felt a sense of responsibility once more, knowing he could not betray his mother's expectations. Xiao Yan returned to his room, closing his eyes in meditation as he sat on the bed, the ancient black ring on his finger emanating a faint glow. After slowly exhaling a breath of turbid air, he opened his eyes in lament. The Duzi Li he had cultivated with such difficulty was fading once more. wearily rising to stretch his body. An old man's voice came from outside, informing him the clan head had summoned him to the hall. Xiao Yan walked out of his room and followed the old man to the entrance of the reception hall. Upon entering the hall, Xiao Yan's gaze swept across the crowd and lingered on the delicate young miss. She was Nalan Yanran, his fiancée. "I wish to annul my engagement with this useless trash." Nalan Yanran had come to end their engagement. Xiao Yan couldn't conceal his anger. His anger was not because of her contempt for him, but rather that if she really proposed ending their engagement publicly, it would utterly disgrace his father's reputation. Despite her lofty status and excellent cultivation talents, Xiao Yan was not a lecher ruled by lusts. He felt little regret over her words. The atmosphere in the hall became unusually tense, and Xiao Yan felt the mocking gazes of the crowd. She proposed a series of generous terms for Xiao Yan to enter the coveted Yunlai sect for cultivation, then proudly awaited his reply with composure. Nalan Yanran's words caused Xiao Yan's body to tremble violently. His youthful face now looked terribly frightening. This haughty miss had trampled his dignity through acts of supposed charity without mercy. She also humiliated his father, whose reputation lay in tatters. Things had reached this point. Xiao Yan could no longer sit idly by. "I must take control," Xiao Yan swore secretly within himself. Xiao Yan slammed a palm on the table and suddenly felt an iciness colder than the North Pole spreading from the black ring on his hand throughout his body. Kid's got impressive emotional control. To think someone came to annul your engagement and you didn't directly make a move on that servant just now. A shrill, elderly voice resounded directly within Xiao Yan's mind, and he seemed to have been immobilized by some psychic power. The reception hall disappeared entirely, leaving only a field of white flames and flickering illusory figures in his vision. Who was this? Why was Xiao Yan here? Where had everyone gone? The illusory figure slowly turned around, revealing an elderly man dressed in spotless white robes. "This is my psychic space. Don't worry, your family is unharmed. Thanks to your psychic powers these past 3 years that I could awaken." "What do you mean, my psychic power?" Having caught on to the key words, Xiao Yan instantly understood. So it was this old man that had prevented him from advancing these past 3 years? As Xiao Yan moved to seize the old man to get to the bottom of it, the old man vanished like evaporating smoke. Coming to his senses once more, Xiao Yan found himself back in the reception hall, with a surging powerful force erupting from within his body. With a slap, he smashed the table to pieces. "Outrageous! What are you doing?" Nalan Yanran cried out, alarmed. With a disdainful smile, Xiao Yan's body was filled with vigor and confidence. With a great flourish, he hastily wrote out an annulment of betrothal contract and slammed it on the tabletop, coldly informing her, "This is proof of your expulsion from the Zhao clan. From this day forth, you and I shall have no further relations." This left all spectators stunned. Nalan Rongru's eyes reddened in fury. This was utter humiliation. Just as she moved to attack him physically, Xiao Yan interrupted her, coldly declaring his terms addressed to Nalan Rongru. 3 years from now, I will challenge you. Then you will rue this day." With that, Xiao Yan swaggered off, leaving a resolute silhouette behind. "The future is yet long. I will ensure you regret this." Essentially, it's a system for upgrading. By possessing it, the protagonist can gain immense power. 10 years ago, such a setting was quite novel still. Let's return to the plot now. Nalan Yanran definitely wouldn't swallow her pride after being divorced by Xiao Yan. How would she seek revenge against Xiao Yan? And how will Xiao Yan cultivate such tremendous power within the 3 years he'd set for their duel? At this point, you're probably thinking Nalan Yanran is a female lead, right? No, no, no. Things are absolutely not as straightforward as you think. Let me quietly tell you, Xiao Yan doesn't have just one female partner. Want to know more of the plot? Just click the link in the description to keep reading. I'll be waiting for you in WebNovel.